lofty goal during the State of the State address and said we're going to shoot for 35,000, break the record that we just broke the year before. And I can tell you that during this first quarter, we're over 7,000 new job commitments, so we're on pace to break a record that we just broke. Also, to that point, we will be going on our first international Indiana Economic Development Trade Mission later this month on the 25th of March to Canada, right in our front yard. I'm happy to announce that I've extended an invitation to Gary Mayor Karen Freeman Wilson, and she has accepted and will be joining us on this trip. We'll be visiting with officials from Ottawa, Toronto, Montreal. It will be a very, very good trip, right in line with Indiana's sweet spots, those being manufacturing, agriculture, and some tech, high-tech visits as well. So looking forward to that trip coming right around the corner. Also, as the weather warms up as well, I want to encourage Hoosier motorists to be on the lookout for all the orange cones and all the construction work that is going on. We are entering an unprecedented construction season for the foreseeable future. We'll soon be looking at about 1,100 new projects a year being let. We'll have a busy April, a busy May. I think Commissioner McGinnis is here, but I think May we're looking at about a $200 million month in terms of projects being letted out, and we'll average about $100 million per month. We're looking at billions, about $4 billion over the next couple years in road and bridge work from the state perspective. So a lot going on as we continue to build Indiana from the ground up. Also, you'll notice two guests in the House. Pleased to announce that Jim Houston will be dropping the interim as chairman of the IURC, and he will become permanently the chairman of the IURC. Thank you, Jim, for being here. This was a no-brainer in terms of the decision-making process, having already served in this capacity a couple times, and we just appreciate you willing to step up again and take it on full time. He will be joined by, upon resignation, Dave Ober, Representative Dave Ober, who will be the newest commissioner, and then who also, I should say, brings a lot of the appropriate experience and expertise on this front. And then we'll start the process all over again to address the vacancy that will occur next month. So later this week, you'll receive notification about how that process will begin to unfold as well. And then, of course, while we are here, we also got a ton done this past short legislative session. And I'll just quickly go over a few of those. You, of course, know this. However, I think it was important that we continue to lean in on the space where the state of Indiana is truly excelling and expanding our footprint. We wanted to join just a handful of states addressing the exemption of sales tax on software. Unfortunately, we didn't go 10 for 10. I'll take 9 for 10, but our autonomous vehicles bill did not make it across the finish line. But it's important for us to note here that this effort was all about making sure that Indiana remains a welcoming state in terms of research and development and innovation, and balancing at the same time all the safety concerns. There are no level 4 and 5 autonomous vehicles out there right now, so again, this was getting ahead of the industry, making sure that, again, we would continue to be a magnet. There will have to be a driver behind the wheel in these autonomous vehicles, so I don't want folks thinking there's going to be autonomous vehicles out roaming our streets with no one in the vehicle. I will reserve the right to, if we need to, contemplate an executive order, but we don't need, there's nothing urgent about this right now to get this done. Very pleased with the progress that we made in terms of what I described as the issue of the decade, not of the day, at the state of duress, in terms of our workforce development system. Also, Danny Lopez, my Deputy Chief of Staff, is here as well. He will, upon signature, he will move over to serve as the chairman of the Governor's Workforce Development Cabinet. He will vacate his current post and take that on, obviously, full-time. I'm very excited about going from a big board and cutting it in more than half and streamlining, giving this cabinet the authority to focus on action-oriented events, understanding that this effort cuts across multiple agencies, multiple levels of government. This is going to ensure that we can become not just nimble, but that we can get people connected quickly, access to the programs, and then into all these unfilled jobs that are currently waiting on them, many times to double or triple their current salary. Very happy also that we didn't take our eye off the ball in terms of attacking the drug epidemic with equal or greater force than it is attacking our citizens. And so stepping up all of our efforts on both the supply and the demand side of this issue, making sure that we're sending a message that don't do it here. If you're peddling these drugs that are leading to a death of one of our citizens, we're going to increase the penalty for that to send that message. Making sure that our physicians are using our prescription inspect program so that we know who potentially is abusing the system, the appropriate intervals, improving the way that we report the actual causes of death at the very local level, making sure that we are also getting at, I mentioned this also at the state of duress, making sure that we're doing everything that we can to bring down that 623 number that represents 623 babies who didn't make it past their first year last year. So making sure that we've certified levels of care at our facilities around the state. This is a step in the right direction. Also, making sure that we have more treatment centers for folks who are struggling or strangled by addiction and substance abuse, making sure that folks don't have to drive more than an hour to get that treatment. It's interesting also to note that last week we announced a partnership with Open Beds 211, and that first day we had 12 phone calls, which represent 12, obviously, people seeking treatment and seeking immediate help. So we're on to this and very satisfied that we're continuing to lean into making sure that treatment is accessible. And then I got to say, to round out the day, I'm very, very pleased and want to congratulate all of our friends at Cumberland Elementary School up in Tippecanoe County who have been working on this for years and years and years. Welcome to the process. But because of their dogged perseverance and because of their leadership, because of their citizenship, really, we got it done. And finally, Indiana will have a state inset. A lot more happened that I'm very pleased about. Talked about a lot of issues, got a lot of things clarified. Suzanne, you want to touch on maybe a few observations from your perspective?
Well, thank you, Governor. As Lieutenant Governor, many of you know that my Office of Business has a rural focus. And so I was very, very thrilled to see that House and Road Act 1065 pass this session. The Governor and I believe that rural Indiana is the next great economic frontier. But that opportunity is not ever going to be realized if we don't have sufficient broadband width in rural Indiana. And so the Indiana General Assembly took an important step this session to ensure equal broadband opportunity for all Hoosier communities. Through the efforts of Representative Over and Nagel and Senator Houchin, they were able to put in place a bill, House and Road Act 1065, which authorizes the Office of Community and Rural Affairs to actually develop and implement a program that will provide broadband infrastructure in those areas that are most in need and provide financial support. We think this is a great first step. And the governor and I understand the importance of technology and the impact it has on economic development, education, healthcare, and quality of life. And so this administration will continue to look at moving the needle on infrastructure improvements in rural Indiana so that every Hoosier in rural Indiana and every Hoosier that calls rural Indiana home is not left behind. So very excited about that important step that we made in that direction.
Yeah. So finished a lot of business over the short session. Still have some unfinished business to take care of. Just say that as we walked away and caught our breath and let the dust settle early morning Thursday, we started to immediately assess what needed to be tended to right now, what was urgent, what was time sensitive, what would cause confusion if not dealt with, what would the cost of compliance, what that would mean to Hoosier taxpayers. And I have identified 5 specific items that will need immediate attention. And when I say immediate, I mean this year, yet this year before the budget session come January 2019. We will ask the legislature or call a special session around Technical Correction Day in mid-May. I chose this time period specifically for that reason. We know that many legislators will be coming back for that purpose already. It also gives legislators time to adjust or readjust their spring-summer travel calendar and schedules. And it also gives us time to sit down and make sure that we're not missing anything as we reassemble. And so we have identified 2 general areas, schools and school safety, and then some couple federal compliance issues that, again, we need to finish the people's business before the next budget session is upon us. And so we will be coming back asking legislators to focus on these 5 areas. I'll later this week should note that Suzanne and I will be meeting with leadership to go over these 5 areas that we've asked them to focus on to get done, and we'll solicit their input on any items that they think have an urgency to them as well, as we've been combing through all the legislation that didn't make it past the finish line. So in essence, what we'll be doing is putting some time back on the clock. As you know, many of these items, obviously, were on their way to passage, and I would have signed them all, but we ran out of time. And so this will be an effort to put, in essence, some time back on the clock, get our business done, get here, and then get back home, finishing the people's business. First and foremost, obviously, we need to be doing everything that we can right now in terms of school safety, so we'll be coming back this May and seeking that $5 million increase to the Indiana Secure School Fund. We'll also be seeking that $35 million up to $35 million for school corps as we do all the audits and we learn of all of our deficiencies in terms of school safety, what they may need. We will put an increase in that fund as well. Muncie School, Community School Corporation is in dire need of a $12 million loan to ensure that they can continue to operate, make some of the capital improvements, but ensure they can continue to operate. This is time sensitive, cannot wait. We need to address this ASAP. And then we've got a couple issues that just didn't, as well, make it across the finish line. Had to do with federal compliance. Had to do with some things that changed in Washington that had an impact on the state of Indiana and every other state for that matter. We need to make sure that the federal tax reform bill that in December and then on February 11th of this year, 2018, as they changed their code, we have to be, our Indiana state tax code has to be aligned in many areas, and to avoid 3.5 million Hoosiers, taxpayers, filing, having to keep two sets of books and all of our businesses, we need to get this aligned and get it aligned now. And so this is as important as school safety in my mind, to make sure that, again, that we're avoiding all the confusion that would ensue, the Department of Revenue that would have to react to keeping two sets of books. TurboTax isn't going to have these updates, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we need to take care of that. And then also we had a rule change at the federal level as well that gets right at folks who have access to federal taxpayer data, and we need to make sure that we're doing everything that we need to be doing, and from the DOR perspective to DCS perspective, to maintain the integrity that the federal government has insisted that we do. So these are the 5 items that will be coming back into session this May. I'll, as I said, sit down with the leaders yet this week to hone in on that specific date. We'll have you that specific date when I get back from Canada, which will give folks well into a month to make the preparation for us to all reconvene. And with that,
Governor, one of the questions that the business committee had was the sort of those councils you put together for workforce. They were concerned that, here's another task force, we need to move, act quickly, we might lose millions of dollars in federal funding. Have you had any conversation with the business community? What do you tell them? Are their fears overblown?
well, we've had conversations with the business community for the last, since I've been in office, and they have been part of this process, and they will have representation on the cabinet. It is their very input that has driven us to make a change, to put the status quo aside, to take the Secretary of the Department of Labor up on his offer to provide states more flexibility. We'll be sending, within this week, once this bill is signed into law, which I believe is Wednesday of this week, once it's signed into law, we'll be sending the Secretary of Labor our request to take him up on that, offer of flexibility. We know other states, I think 6 or 7, have already been granted this, and we've had discussions with them. And to answer your question, their input is what has driven us to get to a more manageable board, cutting it more than in half, having representation from various sectors. But we have to do a better job of getting all the resources that Hoosiers and our business, the employee and the employer, what they need. We know that with this plus 80,000 unfilled job bucket, plus I mentioned the 30,000 new job commitments that are coming online, plus the 27,000 Hoosiers who are in our prison system right now, plus the 3.3% unemployment rate, which is about 109,000 Hoosiers. That bucket, we've got to get them skilled up and into these jobs. We have room to grow here, and I'm not just talking about our businesses. I'm talking about our people. And so our workforce development cabinet, this is central into becoming action-oriented. We've done good work over the years. We can do better. And that's what was insisted upon by the business community and by Hoosiers. It's evidenced by some of the programs that we have out there that are working. We have seen, we're up to about 400,000 visits to the website, nextleveljobs.com. People who are wanting to get those skills. And so we're on to something here, but we can't continue to do business the way we did it 10 years ago. The federal government recognizes that. The state of Indiana recognizes that. And our competition, by the way, recognizes that. And so I wasn't willing to wait around for a different result by doing the same thing.
Governor, why do you think lawmakers ran out of time? And I ask that because there's a supermajority, and one would think both sides would agree or think along the same lines. And one of your key goals was one thing that touched. Why do you think lawmakers couldn't agree and ran out of time?
Well, your guess is as good as mine. I don't, as many of you know, I'm not going to be tempted by blame storming. I'm going to brainstorm about the future and how we get this done and get it done as quickly as possible. Lots of different reasons that I've heard floating around there, but the fact of the matter is, it is what it is. We ran out of time. The beauty of our system is we can fix this, and we can do it in short order. And so we only have, in my estimation, and the lieutenant governors, we only have a few items to deal with, and we can deal with them in a few days. And it will only take the efforts of 2 branches to make that happen.
What's the estimated cost of a special session? And also, while you guys are pitching these 5,
Yeah.
lawmakers can add to that. Are
Yeah.
you encouraging them against that?
Well, that's part of the reason why we'll sit down and talk. I am encouraging us to stay focused on what is urgent, and there are many items. I am trying to lead by example with an agenda item that I was unsuccessful getting across the finish line, autonomous vehicles, and I am not putting that on our to-do list for a special session. It can wait, as can other bills that are very important, but they can wait until next year. And so we'll have that discussion. But these are the items that I hope and will push to focus on. Now, I want to make sure we didn't miss anything, and that's why we'll be sitting down with them and talking about anything that else that might have an urgency to it that needs to be dealt with and dealt with now. I am also will be encouraging, to use your word, politely encouraging us to focus on items that would have been successful had we had more time. I do not. This will be a new session. We will be starting over. We have done a lot of heavy lifting. We were seconds away. And we should not bring new items to the table in a special session. Again, a few items to deal with in a few days, and then let's take care of the people's business and then get back to the people.
Do you
And
think
the
that
cost?
they,
I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Estimated cost.
Depends on the duration, and hopefully that is many of them would have been coming back anyway. That's why I'm looking at around Technical Corrections Day. They would have been coming back anyway. So hopefully we can get this done as fast as possible. Whatever the cost is dwarfed by the cost of inaction.
Do you think that Gary Muncie commute?
So when we add it up, Nikki, when we add it up at the end of the day, if it's 1 day or 3 days, we'll be able to give you an exact dollar figure. I hope it's as quick as possible, and it is far outweighed by any inaction that we.
I'm just looking for a daily estimate of what it takes to bring all the lawmakers back.
Micah, you want to?
Seen estimates around $30,000 a day.
Governor, what happened on the last night of session? You signed an order seemingly without legal certification, telling them to stay in session for another
The request came from leadership with 4 minutes to go before the hour struck midnight. I think I've walked it enough times, I think there are 39 steps from the second floor to the third floor. I think I touched 4 of them. For the record, I made it from my office to the Senate in under 4 minutes, and was asked to try to put another hour on the clock, that this was an option, and in short, I was trying to help. They ultimately ended up not choosing to go that route upon opposition, which I understand. And so now we are where we are, and this is a way, as I said, in essence, upon further review, to put more time back on the clock to get our business done.
Do you believe you had the legal authority?
They did.
Do you?
They did.
Have you talked with your attorneys since then? Are you going to try it again next year?
No, and no, about this. We've had a good partnership. We took their word for it. They still believe that we did have had the authority, but for one reason or another, they withdrew from that option.
Do you think the Gary Muncie Community Schools bill is one of the legislative items that could come back during the session? I think you'd rather wait for later.
I would prefer to wait. There will some that will argue, probably persuasively, that one of the reasons we find ourselves in this predicament or this situation where they need a $12 million loan pronto is because of past practice. And so, again, we're going to have to do something different here. Now, I don't believe that it rises to the level of urgency to be dealt with right now, but I'm sure this will be on the list of items that we discuss with the leaders this week.
When was the last time a special session was called during a short session?
2009, 2000, yeah, or 2012. No, 2000. Oh,
Yeah.
12 or 9?
2002.
2. Yeah, so 2 budget sessions, so 2002.
2002.
Are there no DCS issues that are worth coming back for?
Well, I mean, we'll have our report in June, and then we'll react to their thorough, complete review, and we'll share that with the Legislative Council.
So we have another special session?
I think those issues will be able to wait until 2019 during the budget session, but we will act and take swift action as well on recommendations that are made from that review.
Governor, the money for the schools in terms of security, have you heard from certain corporations specifically what this money is needed for now as opposed to waiting for the next session?
That's why we've called for an audit of all the schools to make sure that they have access to the resources should individual items like cameras or locked doors or a buzzer system, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So what we didn't want to happen was the Department of Education, in collaboration with the Department of Homeland Security, to go out to complete these audits and then to come back and say, well, we don't have the funding to address the need. So this will, and this will occur this year. That's why this can't wait until next year's budget session. Till it's over, till the next year's budget session is over. Yes, Eric, and then I'll come back to whoever.
Estimated taxes are due April 17th. Is May too late to
No.
kind of?
No. We won't have to do, you wouldn't have to be, Micah.
Yeah, so, and I can talk to some of this later too, but I mean, estimated taxes, the quarterly estimated payments are based upon the previous year's taxes. So corporations will make their estimates based upon what they've seen on other tax situations. We think this is early enough to be able to avoid those long-term issues or such.
Governor Holcomb, on the autonomous vehicle bill, what in your mind went wrong there? Do you think that, are you going to seek a new sponsor for that bill next year? There were, concerns by Senator Long that Representative Soliday, was causing issues on the bill. What are your thoughts on what happened there?
I think there was an honest disagreement about the balance. I didn't think it was mutually exclusive, the balancing safety and change that was coming. I thought they were both advantages for a state like Indiana, that we can maintain the safety standards so that Hoosiers, wherever you live in the state of Indiana, know that we're on it, know that we know who's here. And I wanted to send a message that we were ready and we were wanting of this type of investment from the mobility industry. But I think at the end of the day, it just came down to an honest disagreement about that balance of what change was coming or on its way, and maintaining our safety.
Are you going to have someone else besides Consolidation?
We'll address the issue, and it may be through executive order. So we're looking at what I don't want to happen is Indiana to be outdone by another state in terms of our attractiveness. And so if we need to act between now and the next legislative session, when we will seek authors for future bills, if we need to, we'll address it at that time when we're putting our agenda together.
Any word, Mr. Governor, that assuming all this happens after the May primary, might get sort of a different dynamic of lawmakers, because a lot of folks still have primary challenges, some folks they have laws, that has sort of a different element to the 5 things that you want to accomplish.
No, I'm concerned about the safety of our students and our teachers and and avoiding confusion for taxpayers, and it has nothing to do with an election day, and it shouldn't.
To what extent did
If we would have got our work done during the session, we wouldn't be here right now, but we didn't, and now we need to get her
To what
done.
extent did you play the role of peacemaker in kind of the morning hours after the session kind of devolved there? I heard something about a bourbon summit.
Look, we have taken the state of Indiana from laggard to leader because of the exact leadership that's in place right now. And we have gotten a whole lot more done than we haven't. And every time I'm around my cohorts, I sound like a skipping record here, I know, but every time I'm around my cohorts, they're asking us how we did this and how we did that, including last night and the day before and the day before that. And so I am not going to focus on what we didn't get done, but what we're going to get done. And I have excellent relations with the leaders and the members, and I'm confident, now that we've all taken a breath and the dust is settled, that we have every reason to get the people's work done swiftly.
Okay, guys.
And I will play any role going forward to make sure that productivity is realized.
Besides autonomous vehicles, anything else you're considering for executive order?
Not at this time.
Should
And are you
lawmakers,
looking at
should
any
lawmakers get paid more
Might.
for not finishing their
Might,
job
but
on time?
hold on, Tony.
Vetoes.
Vetoes could, because I haven't reviewed. I think I have 85, Allison, 85 bills still coming my way, and we take them as they come to really do the deep dives and make sure that I'm seeing every word. And so it's a possibility. Tony.
Should lawmakers get paid more for not finishing their job on time? Do you think they should take their per diem?
I'll let them run their house and I'll run mine.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Guys.
Two different physical safety priorities. Speaker suggested that the wee hours of that morning that might be something you could do by executive action.
That was not. Henry, what are you doing, buddy? Here to save the day.
All right, I think we're done.
Yeah.
So have you examined and have you reached conclusions of whether that could be done by executive action? And
On what topic again?
On school safety, on transferring funds to increase what's.
Yeah, I think this is the better route. I think as I've gotten around the state in the last few days and talked with legislators, this is something that we all have universal agreement on that this needs to get done, and it should have got done during the short session. It didn't. It ran out of time. It was in the queue to be signed. We'll have an opportunity to do just that. Now, by the way, could I? Sorry, Stephanie. It's such a beautiful day, such a beautiful day, and I wanted you all soon. This will be. You can go out and see. It's going to be like almost 60 degrees today, and the before is out there right now. So the asphalt is down. I mentioned a lot of construction going on around the state. This actually will be moved over here, but we don't just grow a strong economy. We grow basketball here too. So we're going to have maybe we can have we can assemble our special session meeting out on the court, center court. So I encourage you to walk out there. It's there for your viewing. Thank you all.
Thank you.
And Purdue is still alive.
Boiler up.
Boiler up, hammer down.